Labadiena. Girdi mane? Galvojom, kad reikia pradėti biškį lietuviškai. Buvo labai daug švedai ant sceną. Buvo trečias švedas, man atrodo. So aš esu iš tikrųjų iš Švedijos. Atvažiavau Lietuvą prieš tokį 10 metų. Ir čia man, kodėl aš esu čia? Aš esu čia, kad man patinka ir Lietuvoje labai gerai. Gaila, kad norėčiau iš vieną pusę pristatyti visą šitą prezentaciją lietuviškai. Bet pradžiai galvoju, kad loginas neleis, bet jau sakė, kad leidžia. Bet turim broliukai ir estai irgi, aš sėda, aš noriu rodyti biškį garbę mūsų kolegam ir draugams iš Baltikai. Dėl to prieinam į angliškai. So, short version for you who did not understand the Lithuanian is welcome. I'm Jonas Gudmundsson. We'll share with you our view in SEB. What we have done, and this is probably the first time I think that SEB, at least in Lithuania, is coming and sharing with you openly our experience and our thoughts of the future. So, we'll see if it works. Yeah, now it works. The theme of today that we will tell about is Darwin theory of banking. And this is the SEB interpretation of Darwin theory. The theory of Darwin, probably a lot of people think that the theory of Darwin is that the strongest and the fittest is the one who survives. But in reality, what it really says is that the one that survives is the one that can adapt to changes. When something changes around you, the one that adapts to that the fastest is the one that survives. And this one doesn't really play with me, but now it works. So here you have it. We started as monkeys. We started to stand up. We became strong, right? We still survived, and then we started a little bit to go down again, but we still survived. We adapted to the changes in the world. And if you look at the guy sitting down there, and if you remember the guy in the beginning, the monkey, they look quite the same. So we have changed during all these years, and that's the most important thing. You have to understand that when things change around you, the one who survives is the one that changes. And why did we start with that? Now it worked. Because things are changing in the world. I would like to say that if you look upon the business or the world, as you probably have heard during all the day, I will not be very long on this one, but things are changing all around us. The world is changing. I heard someone say, or if I read it, that you had an industrial revolution some 100 years ago. That industrial revolution changed totally the world. We moved out from the villages, we moved into the big cities. We started working not in farms, we started working in factories, making things. That was a change that was a long change. It took a very long time. But everyone now is starting to tell that we will see the same kind of change again with one big difference. Because of the technique and all the technical things that we've heard a lot of times today, this will go like this. Things will go much, much faster, and that will require for all of us that we can change faster. We can no longer be in the same way as we was earlier. It's good or it's bad, but I think we can probably all agree of us that it's a fact. I've seen, for instance, I saw some months ago an interview with a high boss in Google. Google bought Motorola, and they always have they've earlier moved their factories to Asia, where you have cheap workers. And in this area, they told that now we're building a big new factory that will build mobiles, but we're building it in America. Because we need to be close to the ones who knows in developing the products, and we no longer need workers. Everything is automated. So that is something that's really changing. There's another theme, which is my favorite personal one. I've never seen one, but I love the story of the 3D printer. Has anyone seen a 3D printer? Cool. If you have a picture, show me later. I would love to see one. I want to see it on the internet. The 3D printers, I mean, they started off, if you heard the story, that you can print kind of in rubber or whatever, small toys like this. That was cool. But now, it's totally changing. And I heard this not so long ago, and then it started to fascinate me and really understand that things are really changing. You can see that you can print, I heard one example, that you're printing part of a big airplane engine, and you're making it. So what does that mean? That means that the world will change. The business model for all of us will change. We have to think of, okay, how do we adapt to this? Earlier, when you made a new product, you needed to kind of then trim the factory, and the first kind of examples was these kind of new car models that you really didn't want to buy because you know that something will be wrong with them because it will not work. But now you will build it, and then you will press print. And that will change everything. So that really is that you need to put, this I'm strongly convinced of, you need to put the digital strategy and the digital part up on the agenda. You have to change your business models. And this all the companies like Gartner and everyone is talking about. But of course the main question is also how fast it will happen. That we really don't know. In the financial sector, banks. How sexy is that, right? Banks are slow. Banks are really regulated, and it's very hard to do something. So in the finance sector, it will also change. It has to change, because the world around us will change. But most probably in the bank, it will not go as fast as the other one, because of all the regulations and everything that you need to be compliant of. So the statement is that if everything around us will be a revolution, banks will be more of an evolution. But things will change here also. We need to find ways how to meet our clients and how to adopt to this and how to really kind of interact in a way, not because we want to change, because the people around us and our clients, they will change. So if we will not start to walk in that direction, then we will not have any more clients in X years. So that leads us into the next part. What did we do with that? We took that, understood that the world is changing, and started looking at what is the trends. And this is actually our trends on how you can see in Lithuania and SEB when we first in 2006 implement a VAP solution. You remember these VAP solutions? Anyone used it? Oh, cool. I did not, I can tell you. I used it probably a couple of times, but I didn't really like it because it's like text and all these kind of different things. Not so fun, not so sexy. But at that time, you see that we introduced it, and it was kind of, nothing really happened during a long, long time. Somewhere around here, you could see that the world was changing. The iPhones appeared, and all the other brands, and everything. So, it worked. After some time, we released a new version with touchscreens and everything. And you can really see how it takes off. And personal conclusion of that is I probably were a little bit late, right? If the need was that big and we implemented that, we could have probably got a curve that went more like this if we'd done it earlier. But never mind. We saw that it was a big boom when we introduced the touchscreen. And then I started using it. But not so often, I should be honest. Continuing, you see that the trend is going on. Last summer, we released a new version. You can say that as the tablet version. Adopted for the tablet. We had the apps and so forth. Again, the trend is still going up all the time. And the future will be the same. It will continue to go up. Though another interesting thing, at the same time, when you have this question mark, you really don't know what will be the technique. You really don't know what will happen because things change so fast. But at the same time, as we see that the mobile use is going up, if it's a tablet or a mobile phone or whatever it is, we can still see that people are still using computers. So you see this trend, right? But the same, the user from the PC using our services on internet is still on the same level. So that then we could make a conclusion out of this that, okay, we cannot only go mobile. We have to do both. So how could we then do that? Big question mark. And we came to a conclusion that we had two ways to go. We could choose a way that is application development, apps, or whatever. We also understood that by going that way, we needed to have two versions. Because still, as I told, still we have the computers. The people are using the computers, so we cannot cut them off. We will cut off half of our clients using our services. That's not what we want. So that road meant that we needed to have two solutions for our clients. One for the mobile and one for the PC. The other way we could go was to go what is written here as responsive design. How many knows what responsive design is? Cool. And very short version, that's the thing, the cool thing, the really techie thing, when you kind of, if you're going in a computer, it looks like this, and then you're opening the same page with a small phone, and it's automatically go down like this. Really cool. But not so techy, not so fancy, but it's something new. So that would give us a possibility of doing one solution for all devices that our clients are using. Computer's a little bit too far away, I think. And that was the way we chose. We wanted to have a user experience for our clients that was the same, regardless of what device you chose. We wanted to create a unified experience for the clients. No matter what device you're using, you should have the same functionality and the same possibility of using our services. So this is what I will talk about now. How did we do this? And it consists of these 4 different areas. Out of the first one, how we came to the conclusion that we wanted to have the same unified solution for our clients. It's the Darwin theory in SEB. And I will also share our experience going this way. Why we do this, why we do that, and what kind of traps we found on the way. So, starting that journey, we decided that we'll go for the responsive design. This, how many have seen the commercial SEB has today? Have you seen it? It works actually with this pool. It's very nice. So this is how it looks in the commercial, right? It's perfect. All the devices, they look the same. Very good. One of the first things you're noticing when you're doing this responsive design for all the devices with the same is that it's not so easy. You cannot forget about those friends that are coming. All of a sudden it appears millions of different browsers from the right and to the left, and we have a deliberately put an old Nokia phone in that one also, because devices are huge. And in each and every device, the experience, even though it's responsive design, is a little bit different. So these guys who are saying hello, well, hi, don't forget them. That's the first error probably you're making. And we strongly believe that this is the way we have chosen. This is the way for us that are correct. There will still be a lot of people. But for us as a bank, we have chosen this to have a common way of presenting everything on all the devices for our client. What we, of course, would like you to is to join us on this journey. If you decide to join us on this journey and go this way, I'm losing the microphone, sorry for that. I will now share also some additional experience of how we did this and what can be the problems. So, some examples. Things that you don't really think of when you're starting. You saw some stars going by there, huh? That's the first one I want to share. iPhone is a quite popular telephone. Most of you probably have an iPhone. Here we wanted to do it perfect for the mobile. That when you're going into the field to add only figures, the one to the right there, automatically you should get not only the keyboard, but the keypad, so you can add figures, right? Perfect, good. But a little problem with that one was, on the PC side, all of a sudden the stars that is hiding the password became clear text. So if a guy stood behind your back, they could actually see your password. So that was not the best thing to do. We want to be a safe bank. Another thing when you're making these kind of things, putting up automatically the keypad, in the iPhone, you cannot add comma. And sometimes you need to pay an invoice or you need to transfer money, not full litas, but also some cents or euro or whatever you're using. Those are small things which you're noticing when you're coming on the way, when you're doing it unified. Another thing is that, as I told a little bit earlier, the same view becomes different on different devices. The one to the left here, you can see there's one field where you really cannot see what is written, right? You see the arrow. These are the same page, but on 2 different devices. So, and here you see the right one, it looks totally different than that one. The text is going differently, the fonts are treated differently. So it will be, you have to find a way how to compromise. If you're making the perfect design and the perfect thing on how you want this, it will not work on all devices. You have to start compromising. Very much related to that one is the next. Never forget to test on the mobile. As we did earlier, we tested most of the things on a PC. But it will not work. It will look perfectly on a PC, and then you will come to a mobile and everything will look really, really bad. So that's really the thing, and you need to have a lot of devices. You need to have a lot of devices. We had, I don't know how many the guys that was testing was sitting with different mobile phones and testing with everything. Make text short. And you can imagine that challenge when you're a bank who's very formal, and on top of that you have the Lithuanian language, which is probably the most longest and complicated language in the whole wide world. At least I think so, since I actually learned it. It's a big challenge. But that you have to do, because look how it looks. Perfect, very clear text, but all of a sudden, on a mobile, boom, it looks like this. And here we're starting also the journey to the next one. You need to have users to test. Even though if you're having, you think, all the devices you can find in the whole wide world, you will never, ever be able to find everything yourself. Because someday, someone will come with another device, and then all of a sudden, like in this, doesn't really look so good, right? Fonts on that device was all of a sudden treated totally different than anyone else. So you have to involve a lot more people when you're going this way. You cannot only sit as you could do earlier and test yourself. Hello. Summing everything up together, you also need to remember that if you remember this old Nokia phone or something, there is a lot of things that is happening. You're trying to move forward, the world is moving forward, but still there are people who are not moving. Still there are clients of you, regardless if you're a bank or if you're providing another service, that still will sit and use the old Internet Explorer 5. And you cannot really go to them and say, we are so cool, we have made this modern thing, you cannot use us anymore. You have to take that into account. And this creates problems, because the old things, the old devices, the old browsers, or whatever it is, that will actually make this journey even harder. So, we decided to go this way. And now comes then the thing, how did we then do that? And this will not be 20 minutes talk about doing agile. That's not the point. This will be sharing our experience of what decision we made to be able to do that, to be able to involve people and do the things that the clients want. How did we have to do it? And classically, we have always been using the beautiful waterfall. Short course in the waterfall method, how to do development, is that you're firstly deciding more or less everything, right? You're doing everything like this, boxed. Starting to do all the requirements, so you know everything that you will do. Then comes the techie guy in and doing the design and deciding how you should develop it. And then you're developing it, and then you're testing, and then you're releasing it. And it works perfectly in a lot of cases. In Lithuania and in Latvia last year is one example that is very okay with this one. And that's Euro. Because Euro has to go live on the 1st of January next year in Lithuania. And you cannot do it before. That will be kind of tricky. To have Euro as the only company, it will be a little bit tricky. And if you will be late, it will also be tricky. Then it's a big question what you will do. So that's a classical thing where this will work. You have to define all the requirements and release it in one time. Everything finished one time. For us, doing this, to try to change ourselves, to try to do this for all the devices, we very fast found out that this is too time-consuming for us. We need to have another way of doing this, and especially it's inflexible. It will never give, because what you're doing is that if you have a one-year project, you're starting, you're doing the discovery, deciding everything, and then 1 year later, you're releasing it to your clients. And since the world is moving so fast, you don't really know that what you kind of designed 1 year ago, it can be totally wrong. We didn't want that. We wanted a way how to interact and find out that what we were doing was the correct one from the beginning. So we kept, of course, the same things and moved it into what is called then the agile. And what is that about? That is about chunking everything into smaller pieces, make it more manageable, and giving us the possibility of doing it in iterations. Iterations are then done in that way that you still have an idea of what you want to do. You have a start and you have a finish. But everything in this you can do in a more flexible way. And we use this especially because we wanted to do this for the client. This should be something that should be different. This gave us the possibility for each and every point to go in, both internally to verify that it works, and actually to involve the clients. We had a choice in each and every of these chunks to involve clients if we wanted to. We didn't do it in all the cases, but in some cases we actually went to the clients and asked, okay, what do you think of this? Or we have this and this alternative, what do you think? Which one should we choose? And they said, probably most of the cases, they said, okay, take that one, but don't forget that and that and that and that. So you get a different interaction and you get a verification that what you really are doing is the thing that you should do, as that someone wanted when you're ready. And just very short, some kind of our experience